Conversations continue around this matter. Okay, Onyo Vokuko, I hope I got that word, Bright, okay, Bright, says the challenge is that there is no proper communication, hence no understanding, leading to poor compliance. Easing the lockdown now is like sending the people out to die. That's coming from Bright. Nigeria is as a country has been manipulated in a way that people of low mentality would keep. Most of our leaders lack the ability to communicate. That's Emmy music. Okay, but let's look at this matter. We're still talking about the ahead of the lockdown, the relaxation of the lockdown, yes. Maintaining social distancing in public transportation. That's what we're looking at now. Activities are about to kick off as the lockdown restrictions to be eased. But the major concern is the feasibility of social distancing.
In our public transportation.
In our public transportation system. I mean, like a yellow bus, the small yellow buses, they're supposed to carry, the directive is that public transportation will carry 60% of passengers. So in an 18-seater bus, they're expected to carry 12. In a 20, what's the other one now? Anyway. I suppose
they're going to ask government, so who is going to pay for the empty seats?
No, they will transfer the cost to, usually that's what they do. They transfer the cost to the other passengers. A Keke Mara is supposed to carry 2 passengers. I would have suggested 1. But hey, it's not for
because they're small.
Yes, because they're small. But well, we have in the studio, we have a road safety expert, Mr. Adenusi Patrick. And also here is Mr. Agbeyongi Kayode, who's the Deputy General Secretary of the National Union of Road Transport Workers. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me start with Mr. Agbeyongi. Mr. Agbeyongi, the directive to carry 60% of passengers, 60% of the normal load, in a yellow bus, the small danfo buses, as we call them in Lagos, that would be 12 instead of 18. Is it feasible?
The definition of the ratio, the percentage or whatever, might be confusing to the generality of the people, drivers, judging from the plurality of this society in Nigeria. We'll go by this way. The passengers, the vehicle has 3 seats.
3 rows.
3 rows. No, 3 sitting arrangement on a roll.
Okay.
Originally.
Okay.
But because of our nature in Nigeria, we can even put 5 there. So if we now agree, and in order to save our lives, because we have seen so many people dying, this is not a thing that we need to say we want to enforce. It is an eyesore. The last idiot on the street is hearing what is happening now all over the world, not only Nigeria. So it costs nobody anything. We as transport operators, as transport organization, we are already keen into that policy, even before this pandemic issue. Originally, the road safety have been campaigning 3 on a roll of a seat in a bus, and that has been complying. We have been complying with that on this interstate transportation. When you go there, you see 3-3. It has been enforced from the parks.
But you do know that if what you had was 3-3 being enforced for interstate, for instance, you'll now have to go down to 2 instead of 3.
No, it's still okay by 3. Like we are going to start using our mask. Our breathing will be conserved to you. Your breath will not go interfere with other.
But so what happens to the issue of social distance?
The distance is there already. With 3.
With 3 on a row.
With 3, because why is this?
But it's not up to a meter.
if you want to judge that, that will say you have 2 on a seat, and that will have an adverse effect on the commuters at large. It will add problem to the economy of this nation.
And normally there are 2 passengers in front with the driver.
That could be reduced to 1, but not on the 3-seaters arrangement.
Okay. How much awareness are you people creating with your driver so that they will key into this and follow this instruction, follow this advice?
Awareness has been going around. We've been communicating from the national headquarters to various state councils. And you know, if you want to really agree with me, National Union of Road Transport Workers in Nigeria, we are so cooperative. We spread across the nooks and crannies of this nation. No hamlet in this nation that we were not feasible. So with this, and we have the control from the head to the ground, from the national secretariat, the zonal council, the state, the branches, and to the unit and routes, or our loading points. So our information flows straight down. So since the adventure of this disease in Nigeria and in the whole world, we have joined the state government, the federal government. We've been collaborating, and we have been working together.
But you see, I'm coming to you, Mr. Adenusi. When you say you've been cooperating, you've been working together, some of your people have been flouting the lockdowns, even before now. I mean, you get around the Beggar area, for instance. You see some of those your people coming back in, driving one way, and carrying passengers above the number that you're talking about. So was there any punishment to those people by the union, or do you turn the blind eye to that?
Thank you so much. Even of recent, our president has made a publication that there are a lot of people that will say they are having another job they are doing, but for every slightest opportunity, they want to use it. You will never find the registered members of NURCW involved in that, because they know the punishment that will follow it.
So
what I'm saying
in effect is that there are some downfall drivers who are not members of the Road Transport Union.
Some are not members of road transport workers. And those are the ones that will flout the order of the state government, because they know we know ourselves. The state chairman, the branch chairman, the unit chairman knows their members on their route, on their unit. So if any one of them, even presently now, you cannot find any officer of the union in any motor park.
Okay.
So who is now controlling them?
Okay.
And we don't do without having the control of our members.
Okay.
So for keying in with the government, that is why we were not there. And we have instructed them through various medium of
hold on.
communication.
Since you're saying you brought this up now, so how is it that you're not going ahead to clear the motor park so that your name is not ruined?
Thank
because
you so
everyone
much.
believes that
Tax,
all those
tax,
law breakers are your members.
Task force has been put in place. And that is why you see it's very, very minimal. You know, out of 100 good eggs, you will surely find one that is bad. So the bad ones that I said, and we can go out there and check, because our members are being issued their membership card every year.
Mr. Gwenyongi, your members are everywhere.
Everywhere.
So they even see these ones who are breaking the laws, who are not your members. Are they reporting them? And when they are, what are you doing about it? You know, what is the union doing about it?
There's nothing we could do to those ones that are not our members. That is left to the law enforcement agencies, and that's why...
But you can report them to law enforcement.
We have reported. The IG spoke, and my president swiftly reacted on this, and he has mentioned it that whoever the security agencies found wanting they should pick them up. When we come out then to come and save them, then you know we didn't mean what we...
Okay, Patrick, you have been smiling all this time. Now, he has painted a very lovely picture of what is going to happen as from Monday. We will no longer see overcrowded danfos to a point where the conductor is hanging with his either on the tail or with his bomb sticking out because the bus is overcrowded. We are not going to see that anymore, according to Mr. Agbenyongi. Do you believe any of that?
Yeah, well, I reside here. I live in this country, so there is no need deceiving ourselves in the fact that government will just say social distancing. Even the elite are not complying. So to expect that everyone at the lower part of the ladder will 100% comply, we are daydreaming. Now, just to help him a little from what he said earlier, by the manufacturer's specifications, every bus should have 3 passengers on a row. And what we have had, we have 4 and 5 passengers respectively. So that's already overloaded. So the buses are crowded. So with the 60% that the government has advised, so we are now going to where the manufacturers made it to be. Now, when we do it that way, we'll be able to move the required number of people. And like he has outrightly said, because they already have the nose mask, which is protecting me from contaminating you and all of that, so we could still have 3 on a row. And that should not reflect on price hike. But to say that, okay, even if it shouldn't.
Okay.
It shouldn't.
Okay.
I mean, just one row. Is what they are losing per se is they are taking out 1 passenger on each row, and that should not affect their bottom line, which is the honest truth. I've driven Molue before, so I know.
Most of them add 1 more row.
Yeah, whichever,
you understand?
Even if it is a 4 or 5 row seats, whether it is 1, 2, 3, or 4 rows, what they used to have, they have 4 or 5 passengers on each row. Now it should come back to the manufacturer spec of 3. If it comes back to the manufacturer spec of 3, then we have reduced the number of people inside the buses. Now, taking it further to the question you asked earlier, will there be compliance? The secret of impact is continuity. If we just make a statement once and expect everybody will comply, it's not going to happen. We have to consistently begin to say it, and compliance will be coming in more and more and more.
Continue to say it,
No, government should. That's why we have Ministries of Information and National Retention Agency. You are helping by doing what you are doing right now to enlighten the people that, look, social distancing has become part of our life today. In the West, it's not difficult for them to align because prior to this time, they were doing social distancing. But what we do here is we stack everything together. Now, even if each row of the bus is going to be one person joining the bus, the rush is still going to be there. During the course of rushing, anything can still be transmitted. Yeah. So we need to take the message far into the minds of the people as much as possible.
Therefore, what is wrong with insisting on proper queuing as is done everywhere else at every bus stop?
Thank you so much.
So that there is no rushing.
Thank you.
Even at peak periods.
Thank you so much. The union is a private organization. The union is a private organization, and we've been trying the best we could to make sure. But the government needs to help us. Enforcing laws is not ours when it comes to public places. Enforcing the law is not there. We are to collaborate and to join the government in doing that. But we are not to enforce. Because when you begin to say, this is where you are going to stay, there's no pronouncement from the government, no sensitization continually.
Yeah.
People will flaunt those apparatus of law. And at the end of the day, they will say the union is coming hard on the passengers, the pedestrians, the passengers, or the commuters at large. So that is where you found people that are in power arresting the officials of the union. That they didn't. This is why, when we go back to this law we have practiced in those days, God's so kind is our president, Alhaji Muhammadu Buhari, the president of this nation, was the president, the commander-in-chief, when we are queuing war against indiscipline. When we have everything being in order, it is not by chastising people that will make us comply. By education, orientation, continually informing people of what is right and what is wrong. Not just on the pages of the newspaper or on the news, on television station like this. People will go down and make people comply. Why we have the Y Brigade on the streets of Nigeria then, not only in Lagos. So the Y Brigade are there. They will ask people to comply. People were complying. This is a civilian regime, even if they are not going to be chastised. But when they see them on ground, they will comply.
Okay. We'll take a moment and go on a quick break. We'll come back to continue. Mr. Denusi, that issue of compliance and information. So our earlier segment, we talked about the civil responsibility of individuals. How do we begin to implement? Do we have to wait? But we answer that question when we come back from this break. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're still talking about social distancing in public transport. Mr. Adenusi, civic responsibility. So while we're talking about government informing people, teaching people, the unions enforcing what they can enforce, the law enforcement enforcing, the role of the citizen here comes in. So how do we handle this? 4 of us want to go. There's just one seat, one row left in the bus, and 4 of us want to go at the same time because we have something to do. Who will get down for the other?
Well, the order is the accurate arrangement of things. Unfortunately, we have not been orderly in this part of the world. So it's a big journey. It's a long walk for us to get to this point wherein we'll be able to do things properly. Who will go? The first 3 that joins the bus will go. But it then means there will be a fight. There will be a struggle to go into the bus. And so it simply puts that you and I need to become advocates. We need to enlighten one another. I need to enlighten myself. As much as I can, I talk to the people around me. And if you do, in residential areas, in offices, in churches, in mosques, in societies, if we begin to talk to ourselves now that, look, where we are right now is not, I can faint to, it is that you can die. Maybe we'll start adjusting and taking things seriously. But in the big picture, we have left this country to float for too long. We have ministries of information in all states. At the federal level, we have. So exactly what are they paid to do? And the federal now does have a unit called the National Orientation Agency. What are they orienting or who are they reorienting? So this is the time for them to come to the table, sit down, do what they are paid to do. The more we talk to the people, the more they hear, the more compliance. And when you don't talk to the people. Everybody takes decision on themselves.
Sorry, let me ask this. When you said the more we talk to the people, the more they hear. Talking to is different from talking at.
Well, this is English. Take me to an English class.
To the people. There's a sit down there.
Yes.
There's a you need to sit down.
I agree, I understand.
So
And I
how
will explain to you why you need to sit
thank you.
down.
So how has the talking been? Because so far compliance has been low. And we're talking about a situation where there's even no the restriction is being relaxed. So you still expect some compliance? How would that work?
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate that we are where we are right now. And if we are not here, I would be surprised that we are not here. That we are where we are right now is the ideal place for us to be based on all that we have done so far. Let me give you a picture. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is a 2-lane road. If a truck breaks down on 1 lane, before you call Jack Robinson, the traffic slows down. It becomes 3, and within some couple of minutes, it becomes 4. There we get to the point that 4 now will now converge at a point. Movement is impeded. A 30 minutes journey now becomes 2.5 hours. So we lose not only time, we lose money, the wear and tear increases, and so on and so forth. Now, we have not been very good with thinking in this country, sadly. Anyone could feel offended, but the truth is, Nigeria has one problem. It's not corruption, it's thoughtlessness. We are not thinking. The day we start thinking, we will walk orderly. The day we start thinking, you will queue when you get to the bus stop. Look, when you go to the ATM, you get to the ATM machine, the line is scattered. You just get there and you stop. Anytime I go to the ATM, when I get there, I ask, good morning, everybody, or afternoon, whichever time of day, please, who is the last person here? So I want to know where I belong. Now, if all of us begin to take responsibility like that, we will have a sane environment, we'll have a better country.
Don't you think that this whole COVID-19 business is going to cause all of us to have a rethink and reset? Because like you said, it's not I could faint or you could faint. It is that you could die. It is a matter of life and death. So don't you think it will cause all of us to reset?
The world will change post-COVID.
Definitely.
Save Nigeria. The world is going to change. Things are not going to be the same. But this country, I can't see it. Nothing is going to change. Look, to distribute palliatives, we can't even do it.
We saw the video.
To stay on my way here, we got to a point where, yes, the security men were there, and we were on a lane. The number 6 vehicle thinks the 5 vehicles in the front don't have anywhere to go. They just came out from the next lane. And the security man couldn't say anything to him. And he gained access ahead of me that had waited for about 4 or 5 minutes. Until, look, I am afraid that there is relaxation. I'm very scared. You know, we have always given our own responsibility to God. We say, okay, God will do it. I hope he does, beginning from Monday.
Mr. Gbeyangi, while we're hoping, don't you know where to take it, while we're hoping that God will do his bit.
God has enough work to do.
Well, he said he's hoping that God will. That's why I pointed, while we're hoping that God will do it. There is the role, again, that the institutions, whether they're the ones that we set up for ourselves as individuals, unions, or government, can play. So what would the NURT be doing? Seeing that this is where we are, this is what we need, and that's where we're going. The lockdown is being relaxed. The compliance so far has been low. It's likely to get worse. So what would the NURT be doing to ensure that some level of sanity is seen at the parks where you're supposed to provide water for washing hands and sanitizers, even in the buses. How would that work?
Already those are already in place. I will set the example of Lagos and some other states. As early as the outbreak of this disease, you see our state chairman and their colleagues here, through the directive from the headquarters, have started doing something. Waters has been provided, and if as early as we resume, water, hand wash, soap, sanitizers, would have been on ground. It's already on ground. Even you will see it on social media where our state chairman went out with all his executives sharing nose masks and other items in order to save ourselves.
Have
It's
your
not
members bought into this? And are they using the sanitizers?
Exactly.
Are they washing their hands?
Exactly.
Are they prepared to use the masks?
They are prepared to use it. We have been using it. They have been informed. They have been educated. As early as we got in, little, the government push relax the lockdown, you will see things unfolding day in, day out. And another thing is this. The commuters too needs to be educated. There's nothing bad in anyone going out because you are going to collect money. Going out with your small hand sanitizer. Because you go to some places you might not even find waters. But to save yourself, like in my vehicle now, there is hand sanitizer in it. All my vehicles, I've bought hand sanitizer into all my vehicles. That's you judge from the level of our own compliance. If we are doing that, are we not going to tell our people? Because we are at most receiving ends. Our conductors are going to collect money from passengers who have been infected or prone to infection.
It's like when you're talking about money, we've been told that this virus can be spread through currency notes.
Currency notes. That's what I'm saying.
So how do you intend to handle that?
This is what I'm saying. That is what we said. Everybody should be armed with hand sanitizers. I am going to collect from you. I don't know who you are. We just see ourselves by face. And we have to interact. We have to go into the market together.
You collect my money.
Yes.
And put it in your pocket or till or wherever. Not minding that I may be carrying the infection.
So definitely, as early as you want to collect money from anybody, put that substance in your hands. If that could save.
Certainty. Compliance. And understanding. What do we do? Monday is here. So what do we do?
I was privileged to be on a radio station some few days ago, and I gave a description of what the virus is. The virus is physically challenged. The virus is disabled. It's lame. It doesn't have eyes. It can only move as much as we chose to move it. Now, communications are in different levels. The way you want to address an MD, the well-read, will not be the same way you want to reach out to the woman who sells granite by the corner. So government needs to think of different levels of communication with which the message can be driven down to the people. My friends, the community where I reside, for example, the community where I reside, we have circulated around the community that beginning from Monday, no face mask or nose mask, no access. So that is just where I live. In my office, we've spoken to ourselves. No face mask, you are not entering. Anyone who comes to transact any business, no face mask, sorry, go to the next shop. Now, that is one of the ways with which all of us can become police to do enforcement. Government says they will give a number for whistleblowers. How many whistles can they listen to? If 3,000 whistles are blown at the same time, how much of the sound can they accommodate? So I think all of us as citizens of this country needs to take responsibility. For example, on the 4th of April, the number of fatality in America was 8,147. On the 30th of April, it was already 60,000. That means within a space of 26 days, about 52,000 had gone down. Now, when such picture is also communicated to the citizens here where we are, then you start adjusting. But if we just say, okay, COVID-19, wash your hand, wash your face, wash your leg, and all of that, we are not properly communicating. So government needs to up their game in terms of advocacy, develop more strategies and channels to reach out to the people. I've heard some of our citizens say that nobody has even shown us the picture of anybody who is sick. Government should do that. Some wants to see before they believe. Take shots without showing the details of the faces of the patients. We see it on CNN. And so show the people that, okay, look, anyone who chooses to give pictures of themselves, okay, I was treated and now I've been healed. So you take it. They can show them. Then you have the will of that particular person. But compliance, I have chosen to comply. My wife and my children are going to comply. My friends are going to comply. And all of us are advocates. So you also should join us as an advocate. And those of the citizens that are at home, so please be an advocate.
Before I take this back to him, you're a road safety expert. So let's talk a bit about the interstate movement. Now, while the lockdown is going to be relaxed from Monday in Lagos, Ogun, and the FCT, all the state governments, all the states have shut their borders. Yet, we still see people coming in. We see here of people traveling within lockdowns and entering into the states.
Well, I don't know if you saw one video that went viral, a retired civil servant whose son came from Lagos and who said, I'm going to let you in my house. The government agent who should know better was telling the young man, go into the car with your dad and go home with him. It's unfortunate that we have a lot of people whose thinking are very short, and so they compromise the safety and security of you and I. Yes, they say borders are going to be shut. I laugh. Will the borders really be shut? If my neighbor says he's traveling to Ondo now, I'm going to tell him, please don't. But if he didn't tell me and he picks his car and he takes off, if he gets halfway, the vehicle is impounded, not minding how he's going to get back to his destination or where he was coming from. He has a phone. He's going to call one or two of his friends to say, look, now I am stranded here. Those ones now becomes the amplifier who says, oh, you know, Patrick was going to Ondo. He's stranded in Ibadan. The next one who wants to take the journey will take correction. So enforcement needs to be total.
Please take note.
The question of enforcement, again, is really, really vital. Because how are these people, let me come back to you here. How is it that these buses are able to move from one state to the other, even through the checkpoint? Are they settling?
Yes,
I am not out there to
But
measure.
you know what they do.
No, to measure that. But to the best of my knowledge, like Mr. Patrick has just said, if there is enforcement, he has set an example here. Somebody at the rear back coming to overtake him, and the security agencies allowed him to go in their watch. And what we learned, that any crime being committed in the presence of any officer, they are
Accomplices.
they have to get them, somebody arrested. But somebody does that and nothing was done. He's not packed to even stay there for the next 3 hours.
But why would they even begin to think about movement? And some of these guys are transport companies that are part of your unions.
Membership.
We have sent out that it is all the same thing we are talking about, information and information. As from Monday, as the lockdown is going to be eased, the task force of the union too will
Get to work.
eventually sponge into action more proactively, more than when we were being locked in. I think you understand.
Yeah.
So that is already in place.
No, sorry. Has your union sanctioned any transport owner?
We are going to begin that as from Monday. You know, since
You're
the
going to?
lockdown, we are going
But
to bring.
the
wait,
major lockdown
the
is
major,
just being
the
eased.
major lockdown that we are talking about. Nobody, even if you don't have any pass, I know what I faced while I was coming here. I had to tell the program coordinator or director here to send me a test, inviting me
you will show to them.
to that, together with my ID card as the Deputy General Secretary of the Union. They do question.
But I'm sure you are aware, Mr. Agbayangi, that some of your members actually were transacting business interstate during the total lockdown. Because we see them in this corridor all the time. And then that boy, that video that you spoke about, Mr. Ade, the boy said that he took a vehicle from Lagos to Abeokuta.
Okay.
And he took another one from Abeokuta to Ekiti.
Before you answer that question, we need to go on a quick break. When we come back, you take it up from there. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. So, Mr. Delcy, we've heard the story of the man who refused his son to enter his car. That is a father, and I'm sure he loves his son. But he says, do not enter my car. But we hear the men who are supposed to enforce, in that video that's gone viral, we hear the men who are supposed to enforce, say, go and enter, he's your father. Go and enter.
Car.
But the man stood his ground. That's pointing to civic responsibility. But I'll swing to the NURT man again. Part of what we assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things that a lot of us assume is that apart from ensuring that the rights of the drivers are protected, part of the reasons for the NURT and such unions is to ensure that the drivers and the operators abide by the laws of the land. Now, a directive from government at all levels says no movement. The state's borders are locked. How is it then that transport companies are still able to carry passengers from one state to another in a lockdown?
Thank you. We have registered members of the union. And as I told you earlier,
We're still back to the registered members.
Yes, we have registered members of our union. Because you can't do any organization without being on the register of that union. Even this little association, even community associations, your names, the numbers of your houses will be there. So we have our members duly registered. If you talked about private companies, they have been licensed, they have their, where they load, they don't load in the public places. They have their own private parks. They control whatever they have there. So we are not involved.
Okay.
So some of them are able to break the law.
They used to break it at
will.
At will.
And there's nothing the NURT can do about it.
It is government. As we are saying it now, the government are listening to us everywhere. Channels is all over the world, not only in Nigeria. So the Nigerian government will be hearing us now. Okay. The laws that are made to us as a public transport in Nigeria, as a private sector in the public domain, supposed to affect those ones that are practicing on their own as a registered company. They call it limited liability or whatever. We are trade unions.
Okay. Now, Patrick, we seem to have some time. So let's take it now to the private transportation. So my private car, for instance, most cars are made, well, not SUVs and people carriers, made to carry driver, passenger in front, and 3 passengers in the back seat. So with what is going on now, driver, passenger in front, how many passengers should there be in the back seat, even if they are wearing masks?
Yeah, well, following the government directive, 2 should sit at the back. Though it's your private vehicle, as private as it is, the number of people right inside that small space is now 5. So it's a season of sacrifice. So you have to eliminate 1 seat. 1 in the front with the driver and just 2 passengers behind. Nothing more than that.
Okay. Well, we see a lot of kabu-kabus around. And sometimes we see 4 in the back.
Correct.
In fact, even footages on television when they go out to cover, compliance with the lockdown. We have seen people rushing into private cars being used as kabu-kabus. It's like those people have not been educated at all.
Well, some have. It is one to hear, it's another to process what you have heard and look at to whose advantage is this information.
I'm doing kabu-kabu because I want money.
Yes, the fact that you are doing kabu-kabu has not said that you should have 2 passengers on the front seat that is meant for 1.
Yes.
4 passengers on the rear seat that is meant for 3. And I've even seen instances where 2 passengers sit in the boot. I've seen situation where another passenger sits with the driver. So there are 4 in the front and there are 4 at the back. And 2 in the boot.
Oh, God.
Is it our decision-making process, the dignity of being humans? We have a lot of things that are missing in our environment. When the citizens are not properly treated, someone just comes and says, do you know who I am? And he oppresses. And so a lot of people lose self-confidence. I will not sit in the trunk of a car, no matter what. I will walk. I will not. Look, I used to live outside Lagos before. I lived in Ekpe for many years. And I work in Lagos. In those early 90s, visibility is usually very poor in the morning. Yet, the bus is driving at 140. He can barely see my brother. And he's still going at 140. So what do? Who is the driver of this bus? I take the driver to a side. I say, you know what? Your full load. Then it was 5 naira per seat. I say, your full load. 5 naira times 14 is 700 naira. You are running now so that you can take another space there. Okay, take the 700 naira for your return trip. So I pay 705 naira. I have bought my safety. So the guy gets on the driver's seat. Rather than driving at 140, he's going at 80. Other passengers are complaining. What's wrong with you? You are not moving. He keeps his cool.
Because the money is in his pocket.
Because the money is already in his pocket. So all I have done is I have secured my life from the hand of someone who cannot see far and is taking a huge risk. We are not properly informed.
He probably doesn't value his life.
As citizens of this country, we need to increase communication to the people. If you are well informed, the truth is COVID-19 is not going to kill the governor because the governor is observing social distance and he's not going out.
And he's wearing his mask.
And he's wearing his mask. It is you who is endangering your own life and that of your loved ones that is going to pay the price. And your children are on their own if it does happen. So if you value your life,
Grim.
You are not going to mortgage it.
Grim.
If you value your life, sit at home.
Exactly. And Monday won't be the best day for you to venture onto the streets.
True. Mr. Boyangi,
Neither will Tuesday.
as we wind down now, what advice would you give to Nigerians, to drivers, and indeed everybody else?
Life is so precious. And it is the responsibility of everybody to save his own life. Talking of saving others' life, this time around, like my brother has said, that is not that they want to push you down, then you get wounded, but it is between life and death. So everybody has to be very, very conscious, more than before now. Nigerians at large, like I said, we transporters, we are much more vulnerable because we work on our daily bread. Everybody, even majority of Nigerians, are self-employed. Drivers, majority of us are self-employed. No work,
No chop.
pay.
no chop. So we have to comply by all directives to save our lives.
Mr. Dennis, in closing.
Well, I will start by talking to the citizens themselves that you are where you are today because you were preserved to this point. For you to get to the next point, that preservation must not be toyed with. And to employers of labor, I want to admonish that we need to also take safety extremely serious and important. Be among the advocates in talking to your staff and your customers that they need to take their safety serious. The community is not left out. Like I said a couple of minutes ago, in my own community, the management of the estate has said, no mask, you can't go out, you can't also come in. Yes, it is your life, but you can't mortgage it. If you toy with it, the government will prosecute you. That's why somebody who wants to commit suicide, if he fails, is prosecuted. And so on the government side, we are not toys. So treat us as the most valuable asset that you have. Talk to us, help us to be better citizens so that we can have a greater nation.
Thank you, Mr. Adenisi. Hello. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Patrick Adenusi, Patrick, road safety expert, as well as the Deputy General Secretary, National Union of Road Transport Workers, Mr. Kayode Agbeyangi. Thank you very much for coming to enlighten us today.
Thank you very much.
And Sunrise will be back in just a moment with another interesting conversation. Do stay with us.